Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It is the CHGO Cubs Postgame Show podcast presented by Factor Meal Kits. Use the code CHGO Cubs 50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and free wellness shots for life with any active subscription at factormeals.com/CHGO Cubs 50 and Blue Moon. Get Blue Moon delivered by visiting getbluemoonbeer.com/CHGO to see your delivery options. That's getbluemoonbeer.com/CHGO. Blue Moon, made brighter, celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Hello and welcome live from Country Club on Clark.
Woo. Shout out
where
Country
we
Club.
had our first watch party this season, opening day. Thanks to everybody at Country Club that came out. We filled this building.
This place was packed.
We filled the building.
That's the good news.
With our people.
The good news is that this place was packed. Shout out to everyone who came in here tonight, man.
Shout out to Country Club, obviously, as well.
Shout out to Country Club
for having us.
Y'all made the vibes as good as they possibly could until the very, very end.
Is your voice already gone?
Yeah.
Game one?
Yeah. That was an
He's
exciting
out.
game. I mean, it didn't work out in the Cubs' favor, obviously, but that was an exciting game. I can't believe we have to watch 161 more of these. I can't believe I actually missed the baseball season. In fact, the baseball season, it's actually better when it ends, so I don't have to deal with this pain all the time.
Yes.
But, sometimes the Cubs actually do win games, and then I love the baseball season. Tonight, I do not. So, But because of all these people here, everyone that came out, y'all made the night a little bit better.
That's right. That's Cody Del Mendo. He will not be doing a beer bat chug of Blue Moon tonight because the Cubs lost 4-3 in 10 innings. Luke Stuckmeyer, Ryan Herrera. We also have Corey Friedman coming on in a little bit.
Oh, I think the crowd wants Cody to do a beer bat anyway.
They want the beer bat chug instead anyways. They want it regardless.
Oh.
Apparently the crowd wants it even for a loss.
Oh.
The highlight of the night was leading the entire bar in the stretch, the seventh-inning stretch.
Until you led them in a beer bat chug?
Yeah, is that,
perhaps.
that may be...
I don't know.
Sometimes you got to fly the L.
Listen, no. Don't say that.
Oh,
okay?
sorry.
Don't say that. All right. We can't. I feel like if I do it, then we're interrupting like a thing.
Sacred ground?
Yeah.
Sacred ground. You don't want to walk into sacred ground.
Now, I don't mean to bring this in, but if Illinois wins, I'm going to do some sort of chugging. And they're up at halftime right now, so at least I have that.
All right.
Well, you jinxed that just now.
Yeah,
probably.
You're probably
absolutely,
correct. You're probably
absolutely.
correct.
10-point lead.
I'm ready to be hurt again, twice in one night. But anyway,
next chance to see Cody, by the way, if you want to hang out, will be next Friday. Right?
Yeah.
Not tomorrow. Next Friday for the Friday 120 Club.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Be hanging out. So check out all the details at allchgo.com for that.
Get the shirt.
The shirts in the merch in the locker. We've got 14 dates for 120 games. You're going to meet up with Greg Braggs.
Yep.
Bring your own bleacher seat. Everybody goes sits together and you wear your shirt and have a good time and hang out before and after the game. All right, let's get to this one. First of all, not only did the Cubs lose and have plenty of opportunities to win on opening day, but obviously the biggest story that will happen all week, no matter what happens the rest of the games this week, or this weekend rather, Justin Steele leaving the game after 4 2/3 innings, 1 earned run, 6 strikeouts. He was pitching great.
Yep.
And then he grabs that left hamstring. And right now, Craig Counsell telling reporters in Texas tonight that he will have an MRI. Steele will go get an MRI on that sore left hamstring, and they are expecting a stint on the IL.
Yeah, that's him saying the expectation that he's going to go on the IL. Steele. That's not a surprise considering the way he came out of the game. I know there was a video going around Cubs Twitter And to me, it looked like he said something along the lines of, no, it's just cramped. It cramped or it's cramps or something like that, but about cramping. So tightness, cramping kind of goes similar directions with that. He was able to walk off by himself. So, I would, an IL stint was my expectation as soon as he came out of the game. Whatever Craig Counsell said after the game is basically confirming that. Well, I guess we'll wait to see for sure until the MRI. The results of the MRI comes out, but it's a tough hit. It sucks for Steele, obviously, looking to start building on his 2023 right away, but just the hit that this takes to the rotation with James and Taillon already out. It's tough. It was tough to see him go down because he made a good play. He made a really good play getting that out, but seeing him go down, it's definitely tough to see. And now you're left wondering, like, who's going to move into the rotation? Who's going to make up for the production that Steele would have given this team, right? Like, there's a lot of question marks now, and we're only one game into the season. We did our prediction show on Wednesday. We put out a prediction article on ALLCITY.com today, last night, and I named Steele as my most important player for this team. Like, I think what he did last year proved how valuable he is to the team, and if this team is going to make the playoffs this year, him pitching at the same level, a similar or better level to what he had in 2023 was going to be a big part of that. And now, not without seeing the information, I don't want to say this is like a long-term injury, long-term concern or anything like that. I don't want to speculate like that, but just the fact that he is expected now to go on the IL, like that's a hit, and that's a hit to what he wants to do, and that's a hit to what the Cubs want to do with Steele leading the way.
Yeah, and Cody, that's why I agreed with Ryan. Just health-wise, he's the most important player for the team because the rotation, if anything, does have depth question marks because of Taillon. And now before you were asking who's the number 2 starter in the rotation. Yeah. Now for at least a short period of time, you're asking who's number 1 and who's number 2. And so obviously, it's a terrible way to start the season. It's a terrible way to start the season.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it's just like the minimum stint. Like, who knows? You never can, like, with hamstrings, these soft tissue injuries. I mean, Nick Madrigal is a great example, right? Like, he's gone out before, and he's been out longer than we've expected or hoped or whatever. I mean, he's in terms of health, you guys are correct. He's the most important guy on the staff. I will say, though, I mean, to spin it in the best way that I possibly can, it's like, all right, well, now we're going to see, like, who's stepping up here. The Cubs believed that they had enough depth that they got their own guys. Like, I'm not trying to spin it to, like, everything's going to be okay, but, like I said yesterday when we were talking about Jordan Montgomery, I said that, I didn't really care if they signed him or not, but if things don't work out, this team doesn't make the playoffs, then we will be sitting here saying that the Cubs banked on their own internal guys too much. And I want to be able to sit here in 3-4 months and give the Cubs all the credit for, believing in their guys and they work out. But listen, like, I'm a high believer in Hayden Wisniewski in year 2, but we don't know what he's going to give us, right?
But it looks like he's going to get a start. I would assume he's getting a start here first, even though there's a lot of day offs early in the season. Him,
or Ben Brown, one of those two, and we're going to see. And if it doesn't work out, then we all rightfully have we all rightfully can judge the Cubs for not, going deeper on Jordan Montgomery or at least another more proven pitcher. It didn't even have to be Jordan Montgomery, but just someone who's a little bit more proven. Who knows? Maybe they go with Smiley. I don't know. But I guess in some aspects it's frustrating that they weren't. But at the same time, like, it's not like Justin Steele has a massive injury history or anything like that in recent years, at least, right? I know he had Tommy John when he was in the minors, but like in recent history, he's been fairly healthy. If I would have predicted someone to be getting hurt on this team in the rotation, I would have been saying like Kyle Hendricks or someone else.
And it had nothing to do with cold weather. We're going to dig in the second segment. We're going to dig into what the Cubs did this offseason. Was it enough? Why didn't they go after someone like Montgomery or additional pitching, Blake Snell? We'll talk about that in just a bit. Obviously, the Steele injury is headline number 1. Headline number 2 was before the game, really. and that was the lineup that came out. The first one for Craig Counsell. Everybody loves to rip on David Ross's lineups. Craig Counsell puts his first one up, and I thought Twitter might explode. Nick Madrigal starting at third. Now, there was obviously reasons that it happened, but you can't tell that to Twitter before the game that opening day. The headline was Madrigal starting at third on opening day, and there were a lot of Cubs fans not happy.
Which I'll be fair to Cubs Twitter, it wasn't as bad as I expected when I saw the lineup come out.
Same. But I'd agree with that.
But
the overall tone was not happy.
The overall tone was not happy, and I know you said Craig Counsell had talked to 670, I believe.
Yeah, he was basically talking about it. He said, "Listen, Morel is going to play a lot of third base this season. However, he's also going to play some DH, and it's going to be a day-to-day matchup thing. You have to balance right now developing a player and trying to win that individual game that day." And so,
oh, we got
see, there it is. They want Morel at third.
We have a live viewer. We have
live viewers.
Saying Morel needs to be at third. Well, you're not wasting him. He was DHing today. It was I think the explanation would be that with Steele being a more of a contact pitcher, he's not blowing balls by guys. He's more of a contact pitcher, and obviously as a lefty, is a more roll righties in the lineup on Texas, and they're gonna pull the ball a little bit more. Like that's just kind of generally how things go.
He gets a lot of ground balls to the left side,
and if you're talking about a lot more balls going to the third base side, you have to have your best defender over there. What? Steele?
Yes.
Well, we're talking about third base right now.
You're talking about Steele being a ground ball pitcher.
Let's keep going.
Let's
Steele. Keep going.
Yeah. Steele, he pitches the contact. He gets a lot of soft contact for sure, but he pitches the contact. And for those guys, just in general, again, guys will against lefty, softer contact pitchers, ground balls are going to happen, and if you're facing a lefty, righties, a more righty-heavy lineup is going to pull it to the third base side.
Yeah.
And so you need your best defensive third baseman right now, you need your best defensive third baseman out there, and right now that's still Nick Madrigal. Look, I was surprised to see Nick Madrigal starting at third base. I was expecting Christopher Morel to start today at third base. But if that's the explanation that's given, then I understand it to an extent. Now, what you said that Craig Counsell was told 670 that Christopher Morel will play a lot of third base. I agree, and I think he should. It is a fine line between trying to obviously win games. Like today was a game the Cubs really wanted to win. Every game moving forward is going to be a game the Cubs really want to win. They are in a position that they are trying to win every single game and win as much as they can. But there is also the fact that Christopher Morel is not right now a very trusted third baseman. Can he get there? I think it's possible, but it is still going to take time. One spring is not going to turn him into the trusted third baseman they need. So it is a balance, and it's tough. It's a tough choice. It is because, obviously Nick Madrigal is a better defender at third base. I think we can say that. Does he have the bat that Morel does? No, he doesn't. So it is a balance of how do you want to attack it, and it's hard. And that's why Craig Counsell is in the position that he's in right now. That's why he's getting paid the most, the highest salary that any manager's ever gotten paid. He's got to be right about the decisions, and that's balancing that, especially this early in the season, is what he has to be right about.
This is where I'm at on this situation. Ask me in a week, and if Nick Madrigal's playing third base every day, then I'm going to judge it. Because if Kyle Hendricks is pitching tomorrow, so you have a right-handed pitcher on the mound, meaning you might have more lefties, which mean more pulled balls to the left side of the infield, then I would expect to see Christopher Morel at third base. You know what I mean?
Even a right-handed pitcher, I'm saying just a right-handed pitcher versus a lefty. Guys pull it different ways. Lineups are filled out differently.
Yeah. Right. I think it's a wait and see thing here because Craig Counsell also said during spring training that no one was winning the third base job before opening day. So again, like Ryan said, it was surprising to see Morel not out there considering every single spring training game that Morel played was at third base, and whether that was just for reps or whatever is fine. To me, it's all about getting to Matt Shaw at some point. I still think that Morel finding a position to play will bring more value for him down the road and for the Cubs, but I think the Cubs definitely vision Shaw as the guy at third long term. And I think a lot of us all believe that Morel brings more value at third base than Madrigal does. But I also feel like if you want to also throw in another factor in there, Miles Mastrobuoni, I would rather have there at third instead of Madrigal as well. He made a nice play tonight. All right, so I'm not going to go to war for the guy or anything, but
he did double.
I'm talking about Mastrobuoni. What I'm about to say, Mastrobuoni, he had that nice play there that helped him. It eventually didn't work because Smiley couldn't get out of the inning, but he made a really nice play. I thought he had a nice spring. I think he brings a little bit more value than Madrigal does. Left-handed bat, which they don't have a lot of. I'm not going to sit here and fight between Madrigal or freaking Mastrobuoni, but if you told me to choose one, that's who I would choose. So it is what it is. I'm so tired of this conversation, bro.
I think it's something. It's like the best way to put it is what we've said all offseason, that with the way the roster is currently constructed, Christopher Morel establishing himself at third base is the best case scenario for the Cubs.
If it can happen.
Is that today? It was not. It's not today. Won't be tomorrow. Who knows when it happens? But today was not going to be the day that he established himself at third. He has not done that up until today is what I'm trying to say. So you are still, if you're Craig Counsell, trying to figure out the best way to deploy these guys, whether it's Madrigal at third base, Christopher Morel at third base, even Miles Mastrobuoni at third base, whatever. That's Craig Counsell's task right now until Morel can establish himself as that third base.
Cubs lose 4-3 in 10 innings. Sorry, Cody. Hey, by the way,
Luke,
are you in the mark? What?
231 people watching right now. 230 people. Hit that like button to manifest a phenomenal Cubs season. So if you're at home right now, hit the like button. We appreciate it. We'll be live almost every game all season long.
Well, the Cubs are currently on pace to go 1-161.
1-161?
Currently, yeah, they could go 1-161, or they could go 161-1.
I guess technically, wouldn't they be on pace for 0-162?
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
That's what I was going to say.
Are you in the market for a new vehicle?
Yeah.
Are you in the market for a new vehicle? If you are, then we have some great news for you. Our partner, Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram in Fox Lake, is celebrating the Jeep Celebration event all month long, and you know what that means. You're able to rave about their savings on a wide selection of inventory. For a limited time, lease a new 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo Altitude for $439 a month for 39 months. If that Grand Cherokee isn't big enough for you, check out the third row and lease a new 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited L for $479 a month for 39 months. At Ray's CDJR, you're always able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest inventories, drive home with more money in your pocket, thanks to the Ray Price Promise. Don't miss out. Shop great deals all month long. Save big because Ray's CDJR is making buying a new vehicle more affordable than ever. And that's not all. A free oil change when you mention CHGO at the service center. Mention CHGO when you book online at RayCDJR/service. But you got to schedule it before Monday, April 1st. So if you're in the market for a new vehicle, check out our team at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. They're the only team we recommend. Visit them today on Route 12 in Fox Lake. For more information, visit Ray's CDJR in Fox Lake or raycdjr.com. Serving the community since 1963.
You know what you could do to make yourself feel better, guys? After that loss, you can log on to Circus Sportsbook, and
That's one. One cough today.
One cough. You can take. I wonder if there's lines for coughs for Luke.
2.5.
2.5, and that's one. All right.
Coughs after 10 o'clock don't count.
You can go live bet the Illinois-Iowa State game right now if you want. Or the games tomorrow. The Cubs play on Saturday. There's all kinds of things you can do on Circus Sportsbook. 3 reasons why I love them. Tight money line splits. The games strive to be -110 split on the Circus Sports menu, unlike other sports books, which you may use -115 or -120 splits. Circuit keeps as little money as possible on large market bets, especially compared to other books. They don't limit players based on their winnings. Every player has the same limits, unlike other books who do limit winning players. They encourage bettors to download and explore other sports betting apps available so they can compare those lines from each sports book. And then finally, one thing that I love about them is that they don't use chatbots, right? All aspects of the app are being run by the same team that runs the main Circa Sportsbook at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. So download the Circa Sports Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app to sign up today. Also be on the lookout for Circa events, watch parties, and tailgates. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER, text GAMB to 833-234, or visit areyourreallywinning.com.
Wait, real quick, because you guys can't see the comments. And when Ryan was having his back and forth about Steele and Madrigal with our passionate fan, by the way, unbelievable crowd here at Country Club all night. But we got a comment when that was going on. Brendan wrote, "Somebody tell Corey to shut up off screen." I thought that was pretty good.
It wasn't Corey, but it is a passionate fan.
No,
Which we really appreciate.
It's been a great crowd all night. It really has been an unbelievable night.
It's been definitely the number one thing about tonight's events, for sure.
There's a wonderful crowd out here.
We're going to talk, Cubs lose 4-3 in 10 innings. Justin Steele hurt, headed for an MRI, and likely a stint on the IL. That's all the bad news. But there is optimism going into the season. They did do some good things throughout the winter. It took a long time. It finally happened. Let's talk about how they got here. Did they do enough? And I want to bring in Corey about halfway through this, too.
We'll get Corey's
I want to get Corey's take on this. But Jed Hoyer was talking to John Greenberg of The Athletic, and he put out this quote, basically, I think it lets you know what the Cubs think about this upcoming season. I believe the front office doesn't necessarily believe in their hearts that this is a World Series team. I don't know that anybody in here believes this is a World Series team, but this is how they've realized. They said, we need to perform, this is Jed Hoyer, we need to perform probably at or a little bit above our projections in order to have a really successful season. So we need to eke everything out of this group. Okay, so dive into that. What is he talking about? Well, first of all, you would think that a team's projections might be higher than, say, Vegas's expectations a lot of time, right?
Yeah,
like
internally,
their own projections, they're going to be higher on their own guys every single time. Almost every single time a team's going to think on the side of this guy is going to have a better year than he might actually have. That's just the nature of it. They see their guys every single day. So he's saying we don't have a lot of room for error. We don't have a lot of margin for success and failure in there. Like there's not a big difference. Yeah. So and he's in a division that's full of that.
Yep.
Part of the reason they're set up is because they're in a flat division. But that leads to why they didn't go after Jordan Montgomery or Snell. And he basically said, listen, we had the money. I had the money to go after one of the Boris clients. We decided that Cody Bellinger fit the most needs. He was our guy. We went hard after Cody Bellinger. But once they got Bellinger, that question from Jesse Rogers, are you going to get another one? Jed was sitting there thinking, no, we are not, because they don't want to go into that luxury tax now or into a second tier, which is even worse.
Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of just all goes to what we've talked about as far as like where they're at with the luxury tax threshold, where they're at, either at just below it or maybe even above it, depending on what you're factoring in. It all plays into that, and we know the Cubs operate on a budget, and the Cubs have the resources that they don't necessarily need to, but that's just kind of how the business works that they do. When you're talking about needing to needing to eke everything out this group, is that how you put it, or is that how he put it?
Eke everything out.
Eke everything out of this group. I mean, I don't think it's unfair to say to fans or whoever to respond to that as like, well, you put together this group. Why didn't you do more to get it to a point that it doesn't have to? You don't need to eke everything out. That you do have a little bit of. I mean, bring it back to the Steele conversation, right? Like Justin Steele's our number one starter, and now we're sitting here. How much time might he have to miss if he does go on the IL? And what are they going to do to replace it? That's what we're talking about.
That's right.
So I don't think it's unfair to respond like, why didn't you why didn't you go get Jordan Montgomery? Why didn't you build a roster that could better withstand injuries and stuff like that? I think all that's fair, but we know how the Cubs are operating, and how, especially, or particularly for this season.
In between there, he's saying we're not the Dodgers, we're not the Braves. We can't have things go wrong. Like, they can have a big injury like Acuna or somebody and still recover if you're the Braves.
The Cubs aren't that. We know that. And to be fair, he's said that
That's
at
truthful.
the beginning of the offseason, I believe, that, comparing to the Dodgers and the Braves and saying that it's not a one-year thing. Like, they're not going to become the Dodgers and the Braves in one offseason. And that's true, too. It's the way the Dodgers and the Braves became the Dodgers and the Braves is by doing similar to what the Cubs are doing now, as far as really building the farm system, finding the foundational pieces, and going from there and building the winning culture. Like, that's how these teams have become what they are the last however many seasons. Like, the Dodgers just continue to make the playoffs. The Braves are consistently among the best teams in the National League. Like, that's how they built that. That's how they built themselves into those franchises. And the Cubs are on the path to doing that. Like, the farm system is number 2 in baseball, depending on where you're looking at. Like, MLB Pipeline has them there. And I think that's a very strong foundation on top of some of the guys they have as far as the core goes. But they aren't the Dodgers or the Braves. Like, you're not fooling anyone if you say that they are. They're not. So they are in a position where they do have to eke everything out of this group. They do have to figure out how to weather storms when it comes to injuries to their starting pitchers or underperformance later in the season. That's inevitable, right? Like, they have to figure out ways to weather that storm. And again, like I said, like, it's fair to criticize the front office for not doing more to to be able to withstand those, right? And it may not just be all the front office's fault. Like I said, like they do operate under a budget, but it's a combination of factors that is fair to criticize. That, hey, now you've lost Justin Steele, potentially, obviously. Now you've lost Justin Steele and you don't know how to deal with it. Why didn't you do more in the offseason to figure that out?
I was going to say,
fair.
Cody, that's one of the concerns we had this offseason when we talked about, when they do it. We said, listen, if they can go do this at the trade deadline, they can still go get you Bieber or Kenley Jansen.
Kenley Jansen, are you drunk?
No. Kenley Jansen. They can go get you either one of those guys or both potentially at the trade deadline.
Right.
But if you have injuries and you're trying to eke everything out and squeeze every bit of juice out of this orange, you also have to get to that point.
Yeah.
And so that's the danger of being not as deep as you want to be.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right there. Like that's the exact danger, and that's why fans, not necessarily me, but fans are frustrated with the off season. I think fans want a little bit more. I know at the beginning of the off season, I was expecting for a bigger splash, right? Whether I dreamed about Ohtani, which whatever, it didn't happen. But then Yamamoto was linked to the Cubs. They were linked to trading for Juan Soto. Didn't happen.
We were never betting on Ohtani.
No, we were never betting on Ohtani.
I've never bet on Ohtani.
There's a long laundry list. The people that are in my Twitter mentions or just here in the YouTube chat, they're like, the Cubs are always in on these guys. And then they always say, but they never sign them. And it's like, well, in this instance, you are correct. In this offseason, you are correct. They were all over, like they were linked to so many dudes. And the biggest name they signed was Cody Bellinger and Shota Imanaga. That's it, right? And they made a trade for Michael Busch, who had a good night. 2 walks and a hit tonight. Great.
And Bellinger was already here last year.
Right. In some aspects, some people are correct when you say this team is exactly the same as last year. The only thing that's different is that there's more possibilities of extremes hitting because you have higher-end prospects set to debut this year, most likely, if everything goes correct, right? So when you bring it back around and you're talking about, everything needing to go right, it's like, I don't blame people for wanting a little bit more. And I did too. It's just, to me, Jordan Montgomery isn't the guy that was going to put this team over the top anyway. I wish that they would have been in on some higher end name. Or why not be a little bit more bold with your prospect capital that you had? You were linked to Tyler Glasnow. You were linked. to Shane Bieber all offseason. I don't know if those guys were going to be everything and more that we needed. All I'm saying is those guys have proven it. The only thing against Glass now is that, he's had injury problems. Bieber coming off a down year, whatever, but he won a Cy Young. He's had success. He spent the entire offseason at Driveline. I'm just like rambling now, and people are probably getting pissed. That's fine.
I was rambling a little bit too.
You can rightfully get pissed all you want. I don't care. I'm just listing scenarios or different names of who the Cubs could have gone and got. And at the very least, you have a little bit more proven, depth. Because at this point, now that Steele's going to be out at least 1 or 2 starts, we're going to run it with Hayden Wisniewski, Ben Brown, and it's like, you don't know what you're going to get, man.
You don't.
Kyle Hendricks is going to start tomorrow, probably, right? Like, he's the most proven guy in the
Saturday, yeah.
Whoever's pitching tomorrow, Saturday. That's Kyle Hendricks. I don't know.
You know what you can count on, Cody?
Yeah.
Blue moon.
You better believe it.
You can count on a nice blue moon.
Blue moon.
Death, taxes, blue moon. Wake up, blue moon. Eat lunch, blue moon. Eat dinner, blue moon. Go to sleep, dream about blue moon. That's what I do every single day of my life. Hell
and
yeah,
all hours of the day.
All hours of the day.
No, it's the number one, it's the first game of the season. Cubs do drop this one to the Rangers in Dallas or in Arlington, wherever they're at. They're somewhere in Texas. They drop this one. Obviously, we're at Country Club, amazing Country Club. We're not at the ballpark. But Blue Moon gives you a dose of ballpark nostalgia without even being at the park. In fact, Blue Moon was born in a ballpark at the Sandlot Brewery in Denver, Colorado. Its bold flavor, bright explosion of color, and iconic orange slice ritual guarantees a one-of-a-kind beer experience year-round. I mean, I got it right here. We got the cup. It was a chilled cup at one point with the draft and the orange slice here. It's
Cheers,
my
guys.
favorite way to enjoy it. Hey, we got Stucky to take a sip. But yeah, no, and Blue Moon doing that, it makes me think. It makes me feel like it's 95 degrees outside and it's summer and it's midsummer and baseball season, right? Like that's how this makes me feel. A bold new year deserves a bold, unique beer. From its refreshing flavor with Valencia orange peel for a subtle sweetness and hints of coriander, Blue Moon Belgian-style wheat ale is a one-of-a-kind beer that's made brighter. It's carefully crafted and full-flavored with refreshing notes and a smooth, creamy finish. Blue Moon isn't just another beer. It's a whole different experience. Why strike out with the same old beer when you can get something one-of-a-kind? Best served with a signature orange garnish to showcase its beautiful hazy color. A beer this good only comes around once in a blue moon, but you can enjoy it all off season and season. We're on the season now, so you can enjoy it all season long. We're getting close. We're in spring, but it still feels a little cold outside, so make the winter weather feel like spring training or the regular season. Blue Moon Belgian-style wheat ale is one of a kind every time. Get Blue Moon delivered by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO to see your delivery options. That's get.bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO. Blue Moon, made brighter. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Cubs fans, pay attention. Country Club in Wrigleyville, pay attention. Empire today, you get to shop at home. Convenience, the right product for your needs. Quick and professional installation and a low price guarantee. Empire today is the best place to get your new flooring. Did everybody hear that here? Empire is the best place to get your new flooring. So, of course, there's copycats. But Empire, they can't be beaten on quality, service, speed. Competitors will advertise these low-quality products. Empire wouldn't even carry those products.
Corey.
What they keep out is what is important as they put in. Empire's philosophy is to help you find what you need, not overwhelm you with 1,000 of choices and substitutes. Empire's product team exhaustively combs through thousands of product samples each year. They also have a virtual floor designer. You want to see how your new floors are going to look? Snap a picture. It's that easy. Instantly, you can see how those new floors are going to look in your room. You can go ahead and shop at the big box store if you want to, but you might be talking to a guy that was in plumbing the day before. He was out in the garden center the day before that. Empire, all they do is flooring, and they give you upfront, honest advice. Pride themselves as the convenient shop-at-home service, and they service their own warranties. If there's an issue, just call Empire. They service the warranties themselves. You don't have to track down the manufacturer's phone number. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive $350 off. That's $350 off. Use the code CHGO. The promo code is CHGO. You get $350 off. Restrictions apply. See EmpireToday.com/CHGO for details. Joined by the great Corey Friedman.
Yeah, we're giving Cody a chance to go watch Illini real quick.
He's taking an Illini break.
Can I ask a question?
We swapped out.
Yeah, Joey.
Ask your question.
So I'm being careful here because
Joey,
remember
running the
game 3 last year. I told the Cubs fans in the chat to
take it easy,
to rile it down a little bit after the 1-2 start. That we were keeping their seats. They didn't love that, but it did, and they did turn it around. And so there's a lot of angst in the chat. There's a lot of angst on set, but for all the talk about what they could have done this offseason, this game was dangerously close to ending up as a win, and I just feel like we might have been talking about it in a little bit of a different light.
Yeah.
And obviously the injury sucks, and it's big deflating, but they played hard tonight, and I'm seeing that in the chat of, the sentiment. They hung with the champs. It's a long season.
It's the truth,
And
yeah.
Let me play devil's advocate. Corey's got something to say.
Yeah, Corey, are you freaking out yet, or how do you feel about today?
Corey, Morel hits the ball 4 more inches to the right. We have a different postgame show.
More like 8 feet, but.
And I'm more assuredly winning Who You Got, which apparently is up for grabs here. I didn't know that. But look, it's the first game. It's a 162-game season. It's a long season. We don't even really know the full extent of Justin Steele's situation yet.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like there's going to be an IL stint. So I'm not freaking out. I'm not filled with angst. But there was a lot of stuff that we talked about in this offseason that we wanted them to be better prepared for.
Yeah.
And I think on night 1, they get hit with one of those things where they do have they do have pitching depth, but it's a lot of unproven pitching depth.
Well, and that's what, we started talking about that with Tyone. When Tyone got hurt, you're already talking about having to dig into your pitching depth, and now.
And so it just becomes a question of, is where they've positioned themselves good enough for us as fans of this organization? And, for this whole offseason, the answer for at least some of us was not really. And so it's a long season. I agree with you, Joey. They hung with the Texas Rangers. This was a competitive game, but at the same time, we saw a lot of close games. And at some point, there's, Jed has used the quote before that the best teams blow other teams out. We use that quote a lot because he said it, and it's a really relevant quote when you're talking about the game of baseball.
Yeah.
And here was another close game, and you see some of the inexperience in the bullpen. You see some of the lack of getting runners in when they had the opportunity. Some of these same issues, and that's the problem when you play close games, is you have to be really good on those marginal things, and at least tonight, they were not. I think they'll be better than they were last year at them, but we didn't want them to be in a position where they had to be winning marginal battles, right? We wanted them to be in a position where they were the clear favorite to win a really bad division, and they're not. And now you
Corey,
have to hope that Justin Steele doesn't miss significant
Corey, I know
time.
you agree with this. The first comment when I said that was that 1-2 start cost them in the playoffs last year.
Sure.
Fair enough.
I mean, you can look at it a bunch of different ways. But
Well, I was going to say,
You're slightly unfair, but sure.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, but it is
Thank
true.
you.
Sure.
In a way.
but you're talking about just all the close games. When we saw it last season, all the close games the Cubs played, basically, it felt like every game in the second half was like a 1 or 2 run game, right? And Brennan's talked about it, you've talked about it, we've all talked about it, just how much that invites randomness into the game.
Right.
We know randomness is a huge part of baseball, so when you're blowing teams out, the randomness is limited in a way because you are blowing teams out. But literally today, for example, Luke mentions the Morel foul ball that almost was a grand slam. Another 8 feet or so to the right, and that's a fair ball, and we're talking about a completely different ball game.
Yeah.
But you get the unlucky fact that he hit it on a little bit wrong on the ball, and it goes just foul.
Right.
That's the luck part of it. And when you are playing a lot of close games, that's what you invite into.
And
it.
I'm not looking at the chat. I apologize. Hello to everybody in our live YouTube chat. We appreciate you being here. But I'm not reading it, but I'm assuming that there was some response to what Joey said, being hey, like at the same time, you had an opportunity, you got a gift of a run that you shouldn't have gotten on a foul ball, and you couldn't win the game.
Yeah.
You had the lead in the 9th inning with your closer on the mound, and you couldn't win the game. That's a wasted. That's a loss. That's a win you gave away.
But you can't blame David Ross.
Ooh. Oh.
David Ross cannot be blamed for this one.
Who are you blaming now?
What am I, the blame David Ross guy?
No, here's the question. This is the question. No, I believe the Cubs are 9th in payroll going into the season. They still have a very high payroll. Maybe they didn't spend as much as we hoped or expected or wanted or any of those things, but they still have a payroll that's 9th. So do you have a bigger problem with the way the roster was constructed, or do you have a problem with the fact that they don't want to go into that second tier, or they don't want to clearly go past that first tier before we even get to the trade deadline? Like, which do you think fans are most upset about right now? Because there is a reality that there is a tax, and then the second year the tax is worse, and there are penalties, and you don't want to do it, and you don't like. That is the reality of Major League Baseball. So it's not like they can just spend whatever they want. Now, could they have been more creative and deferred some deals and done some crazy things like the Ohtani thing? Yes, maybe. But what are you more upset with the construction and where they're at in this process, or are we more upset with the fact that they should just go spend whatever they can because they make so much money?
I think the irrational part of me and the person that is a season ticket holder and has given them a lot of money.
Of every fan, yeah, that's okay though.
Would like them to spend $400 million and have more. And again, it didn't work for the Padres or the Mets, but have more of that. Like, listen, we want that guy. We're going and getting him. If our payroll's $350 million, so be it.
It worked for the Rangers.
What they charge for prices down the street here, like all that, they should. That's irrational, though, right? It's a business. They're going to run it how they want. They're going to be pragmatic about certain things. We can enjoy that or not. It doesn't. We can yell about that till we're red in the face. It doesn't really matter. They're not going to change the way they operate. My frustration with where they are, and it bled into, it'll get construed as like, oh, Corey hates Nick Madrigal, like blah blah blah. My frustration was
you
not.
You guys have the same birthday. You guys you are kind of like brothers.
Kyle Schwarbs and I also share the same birthday. We're March 5th Pisces, so we'll go with that. But I think the frustration is embodied in that, where it's like, on a night like tonight with a lefty on the mound, Justin Steele, you plan to get a lot of ground balls. Given the roster, maybe Mastroboni, but Madrigal actually does make sense to do this. Christopher Morel did not show you enough that he's like a true solid. He's got it.
He makes
third
sense
base
because you don't have another option.
Right, but so it becomes something where it's like, I didn't want people to misconstrue my frustration. It wasn't about Madrigal in a vacuum. It was that he is your best option. That's the problem. And I think that's a sort of roundabout way of answering your question, where it's like there's just a lot of questions on this team. There's a lot of stuff that has to go right for this team to be as successful as they want. And so my frustration is that in a division that is projected to have a winner that has like 83 or 84 wins, you are not the team that is absolutely winning the NL Central. That to me you can go back to all these podcasts. If you've been in our live chat, I've been saying this. I didn't ask for anything else. They don't need to be the Dodgers. They don't need to be the Braves. Just be the absolute best team in the NL Central, because the NL Central sucks. And as we got to opening day, they really weren't.
It's not clear. I do think they, again, we've predicted, the Cubs will win the NL Central. I think we all predicted that. But they aren't
90 wins.
They aren't clear-cut favorites in the division. That's fact. That's a fact. You're right.
And so, I think they've done a lot of they're in an interesting place, because they have done a lot of good work with this system. They have a lot of good young talent. They have a lot of good people coming up in that pipeline. It's a deep pipeline, but it had better work. Yeah. That's sort of the concern, is that it had better work, because you really have not stabilized everything at that major league level to ensure these things. And so it just presents, when we were doing our season predictions at ALLCITY.com the other day, when we were asked what's the worst possible outcome, my first thought was, well, you end up in a place where you still don't have a third baseman, you still don't have a first baseman, and
you miss the playoffs.
And so you go into the next year not having guys positioned for those things. And it's a weird thing because some of this feels like I've said all these things for months. We've said all these things for months. But at the same time, it's like it's one game. Mm-hmm. They played one game. They have literally 161 games left. So I don't want to like freak out or like anything. I thought Michael Busch looked good tonight.
Yeah.
You're in
the Busch.
Sorry.
You're in the Busch.
I'm not saying that again. So there was a lot to be positive of, but I think it really, Steele leaving, even if it's only for a few starts, really just highlights, like, are they built to handle that? And the answer is completely unknown.
If he is out for multiple starts, you're now counting on Shota Imanaga.
Guys got to step up.
Kyle Hendricks.
To be your number one, like, those guys are going to have to. That's a lot to ask.
Yeah.
That's a lot to ask for a guy pitching his first year in Major League Baseball. It's a lot to ask from a guy who's getting up in his career. That's a lot to ask from a guy who's basically a rookie.
Yeah.
It's a big opportunity for guys like Jordan Wicks and Javier Assad. Like, here's your shot, man.
Really
like, not only were you
yourself,
already going to be in the rotation because Tyone is out, but if Steele misses even a start or two, here's your shot, guys. Like, you want to stick in this rotation, go and take it.
No, and I agree with you. Like, it is game one of 162. Like, there's a lot of baseball left to be played. I think we do have some faith in this team as far as what they can do. I mean, if people would have given up on the season last year on June 8th, they would have missed the entire awesome summer that the Cubs had, right?
Yeah.
Like summer of Mike Tauchman.
They completely turned their season around and were in the dogfight till the end. They didn't make it. I'll give you that. To be fair, they did not make it to the playoffs, but they went from 10 games under 500 to nearly making the playoffs. So, like, don't jump off the ledge on game one of 162. Like, there were some good things that happened today. You talked about Busch. We talked about Morel. Morel actually had a good day at the plate today, right?
Before he went,
Steele looked great, and you know, there were good things that happened
Mark
today.
Leiter Jr.'s splitter works again, everybody. We can all relax about that. He can throw it. It works. It was getting out.
His arm is still on.
Nearest obviously got in a little bit of a jam there, but was able to work his way out of it, and that's a good sign for a guy that didn't have a great spring, right? There were some good things that happened for the Cubs today. So when like, obviously there are things to pick apart as well, but it is also the fact that it's the first game of a very, very, very long season.
Yeah.
There's plenty of time, obviously, for this team to turn things around. They could be 500 by tomorrow.
Well, and look, you know, it's a crutch you don't really want to lean on, but that is, of course, the benefit of the division being so bad is that it should present an opportunity that even if it takes until June, like it did last year, for you to really get your head on straight and start playing good baseball. I don't see anybody running away with this division.
No.
If somebody does, it would be a surprise to everybody. So even if that does mean guys stepping up or figuring out roles, or it takes you a month to figure out who your everyday third baseman is, things like that, you might have the time to do that. And we didn't want the Cubs to rest on that and to sort of just hope that would be the case and that Craig Counsell would kind of account for X number of wins and that type of thing. But they might get away with that. And great. If they make the playoffs, great. I don't care how they do it. You know, we can complain about the strategy and the logic of it, but ultimately I think the division being this bad is going to keep everybody in this race unless somebody plants their foot in and steps on the gas, which I don't really expect.
And the reality is that you can spend all the money you want, and I'm not saying I would love to see it too. I would love to have had Yamamoto. I would have loved to have Ohtani. I would have loved to have Imanaga. I would have loved to have Jordan Montgomery. All those. I mean, you can go through the whole list. Sure. But the reality is that when it came down to the World Series last year, and this happens a lot, they weren't two teams that a lot of people expected, even with a month left in the season.
Yeah.
Not everybody was saying, what an amazing season for the Rangers, and not everybody was saying, here come the Diamondbacks. Like, they beat the Cubs out by a game.
The Rangers almost pissed the whole thing away at the end, and they end up winning the World Series. I will say, because he's not on the show tonight, he'll appreciate it. I don't know if he's in the chat or he's watching, but I will point out for our guy, Brendan Miller, that the ball the Rangers score on, you know who would have fielded that really cleanly? Matt Chapman.
Also, I do need to say, when you walked onto the set and Kate, close your ears, he said, "Hey, babe." Talking to you.
Yeah.
So, the
My first love.
Mr. Steele, Corey, right there, Brendan Miller.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't know if we're going to get Cody back over here because it's
Cody's-
53-51 Illini with
Yeah.
7 minutes to go.
It's a tough
I think he's
game.
completely lost. He's
Hey,
deep into this game now.
I was going to say, though, we have still a lot of our friends here that joined us at Country Club today.
Yeah,
Do we have any questions?
Does anybody have any question out there? Well,
Any
we
que-
had some questions earlier. They just weren't welcome at the time.
Any questions? Any comments? Anyone that cares to...
Should we leave it up to the crowd who won, who you got?
That, I was going to say that, too. Should we give our first live vote for who you got?
It's
All right, here's
just
the deal.
me. It's
Here's
Morel.
Here's how who you got happened. All right.
The only reason it was a discussion was because at the time, Cody gave them, what was it, a go-ahead RBI?
I think
Morel tripled. He scored the first run of the
Bellinger
season.
gave him a go-ahead RBI.
He
That was my
singled.
pick.
He almost hit the game-winning Grand Slam. You like to give almost points all the time.
Listen, as defending champion, I would like to lay out the rules.
Well, Luke tried to give himself a point for, say, catching a ball in the outfield that was
Turning
pretty
a double
routine,
play.
and
Well,
then
yeah.
throwing it back to first
Yeah.
for a guy that had tried to steal second
Yeah.
It
base.
saved the game at the moment.
Sure, but it was like, had he not done that, we would have taken 5 points away
Here,
from him.
who you got? This is the first one of the year. Again, I'm defending champion. I predicted that Cody Bellinger would sign on 2/24/24 in the 24th hour.
Why are we bringing this
I
up?
predicted
Why are we bringing
83
this up?
wins last year. All of those things happened.
Wait, should we remind the people who we picked for who you got real
Who
quick?
you got? I picked Seiya Suzuki. So as a man of integrity, with just one hit, I believe 1 for 5, I will take myself out of the running. As defending
and a
champion,
double play in the outfield.
Yeah, don't forget about
as defending champion and a man of integrity, I will take myself out of the running as a possible winner for who you got.
Okay.
Now, Corey had Christopher Morel. Ryan had Cody Bellinger. Cody had Nick Madrigal. Did have a double. Did
Stop.
cost them a run.
Stop.
Cody is out.
Joey had
It was
Yon
ruled an
Dones.
infield single.
Brendan had Nico. Nico is out. So it is down to Christopher Morel
With Corey.
for Corey or Ryan with Cody Bellinger. Here, okay.
My guy had more
One
hits.
guy had 2 hits
He scored
right.
a run.
and scored
The
a run.
only thing Bellinger has here is he has an RBI. What are we doing
Does
here?
the RBI count as much as an extra hit? And I will.
Yeah,
if
I think
it's-
so.
if it's
Maybe
up-
even like 3 hits, actually.
Now, if it's up to me,
Considering they only scored 3 runs, you know?
here's what I would say. This is my
Oh, Illinois did something.
Illinois up 4. Illinois up 4.
Well, yeah, like I said, let's ask the people here. Let's see what everyone votes.
I don't know if everybody's paying
I don't-
attention. or
Yeah,
can
there's like
hear
half
us,
the
but-
people
I
are
don't
watching
know.
Illinois.
I don't know.
We have some friends
Cody
watching
is
us.
dangerously close to running into the camera.
Yeah.
Somebody
Cody
might
will
be passed
destroy
out.
this.
He works here. It's fine.
Also, wait, before we decide on who you got, I'd like to give a shout out to Alejandro, the brand new CHGO diehard. Alejandro.
Oh, Alejandro.
In the house tonight.
Shout out Alejandro.
In the house
In
tonight.
the house,
In the
die
house
hard.
and
In the
just
house.
joined
Hell yeah.
part of the,
There
part of the
we
diehard
go.
family now.
Shout out Alejandro.
When do you get your card? That's the question.
Yeah, that is a
Chat,
good
the
question.
chat is
said,
really
"I don't know."
the chat is decidedly Morel.
But we're talking to the live live
You
friends.
haven't
here.
even let me speak.
Yeah.
Our chat is live. Also our live friends.
I've talked about it with my friend the Deerhead up here hanging over
But
my head.
it's like 50-50. We need to also hear from
This
them.
one-
what people
live
don't remember
deer.
too. Think about how many times I've given you guys wins. I've
You-
deferred. I'm a
if
nice
you
guy
would
at this
just
game.
if you would just let me
Go ahead,
speak,
To a
Stucky,
fault.
go ahead.
I'm nice to
I
a fault.
might actually tell you that you won who you got.
Me? You're talking to me?
Christopher Morel, 2 hits. Even now, here's
I
the-
tried.
here's
I tried, everyone. Luke didn't want to let you guys vote.
Here's,
Sorry.
here's how close it was.
He's want to give him Bellinger?
He
Oh,
wants
man, he wants
Master
Master
Boney.
Boney.
Vote for
All right,
Master
yeah.
Boney.
Joey had Master Boney.
I did.
So
I always have him.
That's right.
He made the Phantom
Yep. Well,
Pass ball.
Nobody
There
picked
you
him
go.
though. Nobody picked
That's
him.
true.
Unfortunately, we didn't have him.
He
Nobody
was not
picked
in who
him.
you got today. He was not in who you got today. But
You
All right.
win.
Honor.
You win who you got.
yeah,
He had
everyone
him.
here wins who
Yeah.
you got. But I will also concede to Corey that Corey did win
I
who
would
he
say
got today.
here's just for future, like if we want to keep it on task. I would say 2 hits and a run scored is better than 1 hit and an RBI, unless the RBI is the game winning or
Significant.
go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah, unless it's
Yeah,
or it's
fine.
a home run that like put them ahead at some point, something like that. But Morel's late inability to score with the bases loaded
not gonna run.
almost gave you a negative point to take it away and give it to Ryan. It was
Almost
close
did.
that it was almost taken away because he had a chance to win the game and he didn't do
Sure.
it.
Yeah.
Right now, Ryan is 1-0. The rest of us are 0-1.
Yeah.
And
Did
are we setting the rule the same as we did last year? It's
Some
not.
happened. Jake,
Illinois is now up 59-55.
Our boss is screaming and disrupting our podcast right now.
What a lot of people forget is, as we're watching this Illinois basketball game, is that the Michigan Wolverines won the national title in the sport of football.
Congratulations.
Just a few months ago.
No, Mizzou has also finished the season number 9.
Block
so like,
M's.
Block M's. Yeah.
Did you guys?
Texas also went to the playoff game, but
Did you guys talk at all about kind of Council, just his first game?
No, that's actually a good point. That was what I was going to bring up.
Boy, he used everybody in the bullpen almost.
Well, it was just, I
Mr.
said it all
Bullpen, he used
offseason,
almost everybody.
But, just being so intrigued by the way he talked about stuff and explained decisions and concepts and stuff. And I liked tonight. I liked the lineup tonight. I think some folks, maybe wondering why Smiley was kind of out there just entirely for the 10th inning, which
Cross or
it's
Little?
fair to question.
I would hear that,
It's
but
fair to
yeah,
question.
you're not really, you kind of
He was handcuffed
when
first
your
of all by an
starter
injury.
goes out
Well,
by
yeah,
the
yeah.
5th inning. Yeah,
The with Council, it's like, I've already seen it in the chat. I've seen it on Twitter. People not happy with the bullpen usage. Obviously, he was, like Luke said, it was started by Justin Steele's injury.
Yeah.
I'm sure they were hoping for at least 5 innings, maybe 6. Got 4 2/3, I believe. So like Julian Merriweather obviously had to come in, had his up down, and I also saw someone in the chat earlier like maybe expressing concern about that. And it's like, no, I think the reasoning is because it's not just about pitch count. It's about the getting up, warming up, getting up, then sitting back down, cooling off, and doing all that. Like you are early in the season, you may not want to expose guys to that much. So that probably played a part in it. But so like you lose your starter maybe a little bit earlier than you wanted, and then you also go into extra innings in the first game of the year. I'm sure he didn't plan on having to use guys for 6 1/3 innings or whatever it was, his bullpen, right? I'm sure he did not plan on it or at least want to do that. And then especially when it goes to the extra innings, you're down to only a couple of bullpen arms.
Good thing you have an off day on Friday.
Yeah.
but
so,
just I liked the lineup. I liked, immediately we talked all last year about how the top, your top hitters should be getting the most plate appearances. The Cubs never did that, basically, with David Ross. Immediately we get that kind of rectified. I like Nico hitting a little lower in the lineup, especially against a righty, and getting those top guys, the majority of Seiya, Cody, Ian hitting leadoff to maximize his OBP. I really like that. And I like Mastroboni pinch hitting for Madrigal in that spot.
Lefty versus righty,
I think it was a better choice in that spot. So I liked I liked the way he handled things tonight. I think the initial kind of return, we saw a lot of different. It's a largely similar roster outside of Michael Busch in terms of like who's on offense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I liked the way that Craig dealt with it tonight. I think again you can. You can look at the bullpen stuff, but the bullpen, it is what it is. It's the same discussion as last year. It's not a perfect bullpen. He's not been given a litany of really reliable arms. And when your starter gets hurt in the 5th inning,
and
as
you go to
he's
extra
cruising,
innings.
and you go to extra innings, you're going to have to figure it out.
Yeah,
so whatever.
I love that Corey just called him Craig. First name.
Craig.
You guys are first name basis
first
now.
name basis.
Yeah,
Well,
and then
I'm
Craig,
trying,
we had a bottle of wine.
I
Craig
haven't
and
figured
and we
out.
went
You
over.
would know this better than me, being in spring training. But Rossi was a big hockey guy, right? Taser, Kaner, nicknames like
Steele,
that.
yeah.
Happer,
Right.
right?
You're right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Council's vibe on that.
Counts.
But
Yeah.
counts.
I think Counter?
Yeah.
Countsy or Counter, one of those
Counts.
two. No, we do have some super chats though, right?
We do? Joey, hit us with the super chats real
Yeah,
quick.
here we
and then
go.
we'll wrap
So
this
we got
baby
one
up.
from Steven. Bullpen was shaky tonight, behind the count and putting runners in scoring position almost every inning. Any concerns? Smiley or Little is better than Smiley.
Again, like I said, it's the first game.
Yeah.
I mean, Little, Little, I do believe has good potential. You saw him, rise up the ranks pretty fast last season through the minor leagues.
Would have been a tough spot.
It would have been a tough spot for a guy that would just without a lot of major league experience. Like, it's kind of what we talked about in September with him. It's just they were not a lot of opportunities to just allow him to get his feet wet and like either the Cubs getting blown out or the Cubs blowing someone out. Every game in September felt like it was really close. So there just weren't a lot of opportunities to let Luke Little settle into the big leagues. I don't think myself I would have put Luke Little in there today, but I do think that once he does get more run at the major league level, gets to settle in a little bit more there, I do believe that there will be more opportunities for him to enter situations like this and maybe try to find some success.
Well, I mean, Drew Smiley was great for them as a reliever down the stretch last year. I mean, he really found a role in that. I know he did a lot of work. He went to Driveline. We were kind of joking about that. He was pumping 94, I think, at one point
tonight. Added a couple pitches, slider, splitter.
And so I think the bigger issue there is, should he have been given a full inning, facing lefties, facing righties, and kind of just grinding through it. But again, the situation becomes your bullpen's depleted. You're in extras. You kind of have to battle that. And so that part I don't really look at as like a key Craig Counsell decision. That's kind of like, hey, it's the first game.
It's kind of what you got left with.
Innings,
I'm going to cut him some slack.
We're just going to ride this. Yeah,
absolutely.
I didn't really take much issue with that.
Let's not call for his firing.
Mostly, it wasn't about Counsell. It was honestly just about the bullpen.
Okay.
Justin also in here, he says overreaction of the Cubs fan base is unmatched. We are back. Agree with that one.
Yeah.
Dustin.
Well, so again though, the counter, I don't feel like I'm overreacting, right? I feel like at least that's not coming from
I think
us
it was
or,
based on some of the comments in the chat.
Sure,
yeah,
but
right.
I think to me it's less of an overreaction and more of a, hey, like I was kind of worried about the depth and some of these other issues, and like, yeah, sure, it's a one-run loss to the defending World Series champion, so that doesn't look so bad on the ledger. But it does kind of raise a lot of issues that maybe people were worried about in the first place. And so I don't know that some of it, I'm not reading all of it, but some of it I'm sure is overreaction. There's 161 games left. But the rest of it is kind of like, okay, well, I was worried they didn't have a clear number 2 behind Justin Steele.
And now you got to see it.
I was worried that they don't have a bunch of lights-out relievers that they can trust and just eat several innings at a time. I was worried that they didn't do enough to improve this offense and be sure that they're going to be able to score enough runs. So some of it is probably an overreaction, but some of it for some folks is just going to be, no, this is what I've been yelling about for 6 months, and I'm watching it happen.
We got one more.
We got 2 more. Dustin, since CHGO Godfather's out for now, I will say it, rickets is cheap. Get well soon, Godfather.
Yes.
# Blue Moon.
Yep.
Get well soon, Godfather.
That's
we
great.
miss you. We are thinking about you. Can't wait to have you back in the chat.
He would have loved the game tonight.
Last one is from Steven. I will be in Arlington on Saturday and Sunday. Hope to bring some Sooner magic, to Arlington for the Cubbies. Hope Steele is okay, but we'll be okay, I hope. Thanks for the super chat. OU sucks.
That's some positivity you don't often find in this chat.
Yeah, Michael Collada would have been saying we don't have a closer.
He would have loved tonight.
So hopefully he's doing well. Corey and Brendan have a show coming for you on Sunday after the series finale.
Will it be live?
Yes.
Live.
Yeah, live.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. Thanks to everybody here at Country Club. Great hospitality, great place, great drink deals. Thanks to Blue Moon, our sponsor, Factor Meals, our other sponsor, and of course our friends at Circa Sportsbook. Cody's counting this one down. Cubs lose 4-.
I do, as we're signing off and he's enjoying a happy moment, I have Cody, I hopped in, so I have Cody's iPad in front of me. I do think the chat would enjoy to know that he has his own tweet notifications on his own iPad.
He heard that.
He heard that.
Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast. We'll be back after the game on Sunday, and then we'll be, of course, opening day for the home opener on Monday. And don't forget, not this Friday, next Friday at Wrigley Field is the first date of the Friday 120 Club with Greg Braggs and Cody Del Mendo. We'll be meeting up, having great deals, and grab your bleacher seat and hang out with everybody and your shirt. Until then, thanks for watching the CHGO Cubs podcast. Cubs lose 4-3 in 10 innings. Thanks, Country Club. Thanks to everybody that showed up today. Fly the W.